Colonel Muammar Gaddafi of Libya between 1969 and 2011. In 1969, a 27-year-old Gaddafi seized power in a bloodless coup in Libya. Over 4 decades, he dismantled institutions, centralized all authority in himself, and Gaddafi used the oil wealth to do this, to fund his lavish lifestyle, global terrorism, including the popular Lockerbie bombings. He waged brutal campaigns against internal dissent, most notably in 1996 against Abu Salim prison massacre, where over 1,200 inmates were killed. He was overthrown and killed in 2011, leaving Libya in chaos after a brutal war. Idi Amin of Uganda between 1971 and 1979. Field Marshal Idi Amin Dada took over power through a coup in 1971, promising to restore democracy. Instead, Uganda was plunged into terror. Amin ordered mass killings, tortures, and disappearances. It is estimated by between over 100,000 and 500,000 Ugandans were killed during his rule. He expelled over 60,000 Asians, destroying the economy. Amin's army was defeated in Uganda-Tanzanian War, where he fled to exile in 1979. Number 3. Mobutu Sese Seko of Zaire or DRC between 1965 and 1997. Mobutu took over Congo in 1965. Here, he was backed by the CIA backing, where the Americans helped him to take over power. He renamed the country Zaire and ruled for over 32 years. He outlawed opposition, looted billions, promoted fake nationalism. He left the country impoverished and took most of its vast resources. Mobutu's fall came after the First Congo War, when the rebels led by Laurent Kabila outseized him and took over power. Number 4. Robert Mugabe of Zimbabwe between 1980 and 2017. Mobutu, once a symbol of liberation, but power transformed him. Ruling for over 37 years, he oversaw his violent land reforms, collapsing the agricultural economy. His regime carried over massacres in the 1980s, killing over 20,000 civilians in the Matabo land. Opposition was met with arrests, beatings, and media blackouts. Mugabe was finally forced out by military-assisted transitions in 2017. Number 5. President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. Museveni came to leadership of Uganda in 1986, promising a democratic renewal. Yet over the years, he has crushed term limits, altered the constitutions, silenced critics. Opposition leaders like Bobi Wine have been brutalized and arrested. Museveni's government has been accused of war crimes in the Congo and corruption at home. He remains in power after nearly 40 years of rule. Omar al-Bashir of Sudan between 1989 and 2019. Bashir overthrew the civilian government in 1989. Under his rule, Sudan became a haven of repression. The Darfur genocide between 2003 and 2008 left over 300,000 dead and millions displaced. He was indicted by the International Criminal Court of War crimes and against humanity. Mass protests were held against him in 2019, which led to his fall. Number 7. Jean Bedel Bokassa of the Central African Republic between 1966 and 1979. Bokassa ruled as president, then crowned himself the emperor of the country, modeled after the Napoleon's costing of $20 million. His rule was entrenched in vanity and violence. He reportedly tortured and murdered students protesting in school uniforms. He was accused of cannibalism himself. though this was never convinced. France deposed him in 1979 through a military operation. Number 8. Hissène Habré of Chad between 1982 and 1990. Habre's 8-year rule turned Chad into a police state. Over 40,000 people were killed, tens of thousands tortured by his secret police and the DDS. He was supported by the US and France during the Cold War. Later years, however, he was tried and convicted in Senegal, the first African president to be prosecuted by another African nation. Number 9. Teodoro Obiang Nguema of Equatorial Guinea between 1979 to the present. Obiang overthrew his uncle and has ruled Equatorial Guinea ever since. Despite massive oil wealth, most citizens live in poverty in Equatorial Guinea. His family controls all state funds and lives in luxury, with his own son owning mansions and sports cars abroad, which he uses for travel. Opposition is almost non-existent, with critics jailed and exiled. He remains the longest-serving president in Africa. Number 10. Paul Biya of Cameroon from 1982 to the present. Paul Biya has ruled Cameroon for over 40 years, often from his residence in Switzerland. He suppresses opposition, manipulates elections, and crushes dissent in Anglophone regions. His forces have committed atrocities in the ongoing Anglophone crisis in his country, including executions and village burnings. Despite the growing unrest, he clings to power in his 90s. He has ruled for over 42 years. Number 11. Siad Barre. This was between 1969 to 1991 in Somalia. Barre promised scientific socialism and unity, but later turned Somalia into a dictatorship. He waged war against Ethiopia in the Oregon War and used clan-based prosecution to maintain his control in the country. His regime, however, collapsed in 1991, plunging Somalia into a civil war which lasted for decades. Number 12. Mengistu Haile Mariam of Ethiopia ruled between 1977 to 1991. This one rose to power after the fall of Emperor Selassie. He led the Drake regime and launched the Red Terror, executing and imprisoning tens of thousands of people. His government conducted mass purges of perceived enemies. Brutal famines followed. He fled, however, to Zimbabwe after being overthrown by rebels in 1991. Number 13. Gasimbe Eyadema of Togo between 1967 to 2005. Eyadema ruled Togo for over 38 years, serving multiple assassination attempts and coups. He maintained power through fear, manipulation, and military loyalty, just like all African leaders. Political opponents were often imprisoned and killed. After his death, his son took over, creating Africa's first dynastic dictatorship. Number 14. Felix Biongi of Ivory Coast ruled between 1960 to 1993. Though less violent than other African dictators, he ruled Ivory Coast as a one-party state for over 33 years. He crushed dissent quietly and monopolized power through patronage. While he maintained economic growth, opposition was suppressed and political plurality was non-existent. Number 15. Blaise Compaoré of the Burkina Faso. Compaoré rose to power after the assassination of his friend and revolutionary leader Thomas Sankara. His rule saw economic growth, but also authoritarianism and Repression. He survived numerous coup attempts until mass protests forced his resignation in 2014. He fled into exile and was later sentenced in absentia for Sankara's murder.